What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So you will no doubt be aware, because I mention it in pretty much every video, that I spent 5 years as a Royal Marines Commando, 2 years as a full-time Team GB athlete, and I've currently got 5 world records, and I've got a number of other weird and wonderful fringe challenges coming up. Obviously, I would not like to say that I am stupid or naive or arrogant enough to believe that this is not a big part of my identity. A big part of my identity is wrapped up in my physical prowess, in my physical accolades, and in my physical capability. Probably pretty normal, considering every part of my career so far has been somehow linked to physical performance. And when I turned 30, I'm 36 now, so this is back in 2018. A lot of friends of mine that were a couple of years older were like, mate, it's all fucking downhill from here. You wait until the aches and pains start kicking in. And I kind of did expect that to happen. And I'm very lucky that I think I kind of staved that off for a certain amount of time, and I kept feeling stronger. I kept feeling mobile in some areas of performance. I even, got even more kind of explosive up until the age of like 33, 34. And it's just in the last kind of 18 months that I think realistically there is a level of inevitability with performance possibly stalling a bit as you kind of reach a certain age. And that age, I believe, is possibly in some ways upon me. This is not me being defeatist, and this video is not about the fact that I've just accepted that I need to retire sometime in the next 25 fucking minutes. It's basically just an insight into my own kind of inner monologue with it and how I'm reframing my performance a little bit differently now. So what did change about 1.5 years ago? So recovery was definitely a bit slower. I just kind of felt a little bit more beat up for a little bit longer. Not necessarily like DOMs acutely in certain muscle groups if I'd done a functional bodybuilding workout. It wasn't really that. It was more just kind of a global central nervous system fatigue that seemed to last a little bit longer. It would affect my general energy levels, whereas realistically, when you're in your 20s, you can kind of work out about 5-6 times a day, and you're like a 12-year-old, right? You just flipping bounce back, you get run over by a truck, and you just kind of get up and dust yourself off, whereas this was not the case. So recovery was the first thing. The second thing was just like an ambient stiffness, like spending a bit more time on a warm-up, making sure I actually cooled down properly just to flush through the pipes and do a bit of foam rolling at the end was no longer an optional thing. It was kind of became necessary. And this is why I remember being like 25, 26 and watching guys that were, I don't know, 35 to 45 work out, and they were like proper religious with warm-ups and cool-downs. I was like, flipping it, man, maybe they're just better athletes than me, maybe they care more. But when that stuff becomes a necessity to not only perform well but just feel okay, lo and behold, everybody's going to do it when it's a crucial part of just daily flipping functional movement. And that definitely changed about 1 year or so ago, where rolling out, especially at the beginning of a workout and at the end of the workout, became something I absolutely had to do, or I just feel like I was hit by a train. And the third one, especially relevant for me, because there is an element of speed and power and explosiveness and being dynamic and being ballistic and being elastic in my kind of athletic background, and that's something I wanted to kind of continue for as long as possible. That felt a lot harder. I definitely needed to be nice and warm. I definitely needed a good amount of mobility kind of daily to get to a stage where I was able to do some of the things explosively that I had always done and wanted to continue to do. But even when I had those things, it just felt a little bit more clunky, like little niggles, little aches and pains when I do some, plyometrics and different kind of either lower body or upper body explosive movements. And in addition to those pains, everything just felt a little bit slower, like my body just wasn't responding as quickly as it had done in the past. And this was tough, man. This was tough kind of mentally as much as anything else. I think one of the big cons about getting older, I don't know if women experience this the same way. I think they probably do, but as a guy, I don't really feel, in my mind, I don't feel really any different to how I felt 10 years ago when I was 26, right? Intellectually, obviously, I'm interested in different things, so I'm sure like I have changed. But there's part of me when I'm kind of sitting down, I'm like, right, well, I still believe that I'm kind of capable of doing the things that I did, and then I move and it feels like I'm in a slightly different body where it's just not quite firing as quickly. The connection between my brain's command to do something, my body's ability to execute it, it just feels as though there's a weird lack, and it feels as though I'm kind of like sometimes I'm just running through treacle, and I have to kind of like look at myself and think, what the flipping heck has happened, man? Like, it just doesn't feel as dynamic and as powerful as it used to. And this is sad, man. This sucks. And there is a weird gestation period that's taken from when you first start to kind of experience that acutely and in the micro in certain sessions, and then it kind of just becomes a general part of the way that you operate, to when you then accept that that might actually just be the way that things are now. And again, this is not defeatist. I'm not, again, I am always doing new physical challenges. I'm always attempting to push myself. But at the same time, I'm not just going to Goggins my way through my own mindset and tell myself that I probably am going to be able to, run as fast in 100 meters as I did when I was 22 and filled with piss and vinegar and basically a massive fucking elastic band. Because the fact of the matter is, it does change. Your physiology does change. And for me, I got to a stage where I just continued to pick up more niggles, more minor injuries, more aches and pains, a level of stiffness from certain elastic movements, that I was like, right, well, I can tell myself whatever I want, but if I keep going through this, the fact of the matter is I'm probably just going to end up snapping something. And that's where the reframe kind of had to start taking place. So if you zoom out and look at this whole thing as like a 30,000 foot view, big picture, this is probably one of the reasons why some of these weird and wonderful challenges that I keep doing are so important to me now, because I feel, and this has been from self-reflection, the fact that it does hurt your ego as a young athletic guy. I don't know, I'd go as far as to say it should piss you off a little bit, the fact that you're either not able to do the stuff, or it's significantly harder to work everything around your life to be able to kind of continue to do it. But maybe that's one of the reasons why these crazy challenges like the 15-mile yoke carry that I've got coming up in about 6 weeks, maybe that's one of the reasons they're so important to me now, because I need something, I need to grip onto something that feels on the face of it impressive and is challenging, to continue to reinforce a sense of capability that I am not just washed up. Maybe that's the reason I keep doing them. Maybe that's one of the reasons they keep becoming more and more extreme. Maybe that's one of the reasons why they're probably increasingly important to me. But there's a common denominator in all of these things, and that is that they are primarily endurance challenges. And I think that this is one of the reasons why running and ultra marathons in some way, and Ironmans and stuff, have become significantly more popular with social media influencers. People that have been on Instagram that are anywhere between kind of like 30 and 40 now have probably spent the last 5-10 years watching the same influencers grow and develop. And that means that pretty much all of these influencers are over the age of 30 now, and maybe they're going through a similar thing, and consciously or not, I genuinely believe that past a certain point, and again, I'm naturally elastic anyway, so whether that's a good thing or a bad thing coming out of that, I don't know, but I think training for a marathon is actually going to result in fewer injuries than training for a decathlon or 100 meters. And the reason for that is the events in that are so explosive that I think being able to run for 2 hours is maybe, in some ways, less stress on the body, less acute stress than trying to do some high knees and trying to explode out the blocks. To me, I don't know if you agree. If you do or don't, by all means, please put it down in the comment section below. I'd be interested and intrigued to hear your opinion. But to me, it kind of makes sense as to why, as people get older, you kind of age up into endurance events, right? It just seems to be the thing, that it doesn't really go the other way. Like, there isn't somebody who specializes in kind of running 10Ks, and then as they get into their 30s and 40s, they go backwards in terms of distance and upwards in terms of intensity. You don't see somebody that was a 10K or a half marathon specialist get to 41 and be like, I feel as though my body's just finally ready for 100 meters and long jump. Like, you'd fucking snap yourself in half. So who knows, it could be the reason why ex-athletes obviously age up, they get older, and they move into longer and longer and longer endurance paradigms, because it's still impressive, it's still a great way to push themselves, but actually maybe there's a little bit less damage to the body, or at the very least it feels like it does less damage than something that is super explosive. If I tried to do a 10K PB or 100 meters and long jump, I genuinely believe that if I did 100 meters and long jump, my body would feel worse for the next week and just tighter and stiff. That's if I didn't get an injury during. I just feel a little bit more banged up and beat up for the week after. So the big thing is this, the big reframe is this: there does come a point, especially in the strength, maybe not strength as much, but especially the explosive paradigms, where you might have to accept, not 100% accept, but you have to accept the possibility, or at the very least, I'll tell you what, I'll own my own story of it, right? I have begun to accept the possibility that I may never PB in certain strength or speed or power movements or exercises again. And that's a really weird thing. That's a really weird thing to think when your entire life You've been getting stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and faster just by existing. You've built up more training load. You're getting better. You've had more adaptations at the time that your physiology is becoming more and more and more elite as well. And then there becomes this weird weightless time before it starts to drop down. You're kind of at the end of the pendulum swing, right? And I truly believe that a lot of people feel that, and maybe not even consciously, but that's the reason that ultra marathons are becoming kind of increasingly popular. And it is bizarre, man. It's a weird thing to think, and it feels kind of defeatist to say. And I kind of used to berate myself for even allowing myself to think about it. I was like, nah, man, this is just a shit attitude. You just got to kind of keep going. It's just mindset. It's just mindset. And mindset does play a huge role. There's no doubt about it. But the fact of the matter is, your physiology gets older. I am now closer to 40 years old than to 30. And I can assure you, if you were in my head, that feels mental to say, because I feel as though I was 21 5 minutes ago. But it has been a challenge. It's been a struggle emotionally, and it's been weird. And the only thing that seems to offset the emotional turbulence of this is to set myself a challenge that I've never done before and that still feels appropriately impressive once again, so that I can not only again like show off to other people. It's really not about that, actually. That's become less and less relevant as I get older, but again to reinforce that sense of capability, that it's like, okay, if I'm able to do this, then then I'm not washed up. And it's like, preventing yourself from kind of entering into that space. And for me, maybe that's one of the reasons why, again, consciously or not, I'm attracted to longer and longer and longer events. So there is no real global advice or narrative or message that I've got for anybody today. It's not really me prescribing anything or offering a solution to the problem. I know that'd be great. The only thing I'd say is, if you are in remotely the same situation, you've kind of felt the same in any way, that's possibly one of the reasons, or that's possibly one of the benefits of these longer events, is they allow you to kind of really, sink your teeth into something that is fun, and a lot of them are outdoors, and that again can even reinforce a sense of capability. Like a 15-hour row on a Concept 2 row machine, gym's going to be garbage, right? But ultra marathons are usually in mountains or trail or whatever, and it kind of gets you outside. It's a way of actually having a target, and I think having a particular objective and having a deadline for that objective, because a lot of these things are obviously like there's a set date. I don't really know many people who've just cuffed an ultra marathon on their own. They're normally scheduled events. So I think having a particular objective that feels challenging but attainable, doesn't beat your body up too much, and has a set date on it. If you can find something that ticks those boxes, by all means, and I've said this in 1,000 videos before, I think that having a date in the diary for something means that you are probably going to apply more effort. In my opinion, the biggest dictating factor of success for the 3-4 months before that. So you're going to stay in better shape by the fact that you're working harder for a longer duration of time, and it allows us to do the thing that we all want to do, which is feel capable, feel strong, feel powerful, and really have that internal sense of capability and competence reinforced. I'd love to say that, actually, to be honest, I wouldn't love to say that I've, completely completed the meditation game and I have no ego now, and I'm not attached to any of it. I don't even know if I want that. If I was kind of, if somebody said we could wave a magic wand and you actually won't care about your physical performance anymore at all, I don't even know if I'd say yes to that. I think that just the ebb and flow and the constant vacillation of feeling flipping amazing about what you're capable of and what you've done, I need to actually get a flipping grip of myself and go and do something hard again and go do tough shit. I think the ebb and flow of those two things, and the constant up and down and the oscillation of the whole journey, I think that's something that I fully embrace, and I don't think I'd want to go away from it even if I had a big red button that I can push. So there you go, guys, nice and short one from me, just a bit of an insight into my inner monologue, and something that I struggle with sometimes, but the solution that I have chosen, consciously or not, is to create or sign up for some crazy challenges, usually outdoors, because I love nature and I want to feel as though I'm at one with it and able to work with it and survive whatever it can throw at me, but to do events that are longer than 100 meters because I feel as though I'm going to snap. And I've watched too many videos of people snapping their Achilles on top of a box jump, and it genuinely is the thing of nightmares. So any questions on anything, please do put it down in the comment section below. Any other tips and tricks that you guys have, actually I'd be intrigued to see if there are any other solutions that you guys have found, or anything that you've done to kind of offset that feeling and continue to reinforce capability within yourself. If you have not yet done so, make sure you subscribe, and as always, stay strong, stay healthy, stay awesome, and I'll see you all in the next video.